So, good morning, friends, and welcome back to the online learning platform at Department of Civil Engineering. I'm Rajesh Gopinath, and we are together once again here for the course on occupational health and safety. In the previous session, we had an understanding with respect to injuries which can happen in the context of municipal solid waste management. Now, when you talk about injuries, the injuries are not restricted to chemical hazards, but also microbial hazards, especially since we are talking about COVID-19. We are aware that it is an outcome of unhygienic practices or lack of sanitation. And these are two circumstances which are very evident when it comes to municipal solid waste management itself. Continuing the same flow, let's try to understand today what are the safety concerns in a laboratory which is based with respect to public health engineering, or in other words, which deals with chemicals and microorganisms. We shall understand first the various causative factors which can lead to accidents or near misses. Okay, we'll also try to have a preview of the various hazards. Then, of course, we shall look at the corrective and preventive measures. All right, and then I shall summarize before listing the references for a kind perusal. So, friends, there are so many reasons wherein a near miss or an incident or an accident may occur in a laboratory. So, whenever you speak about a laboratory, you're talking about some individuals who are performing some experiments. Now, these experiments basically deal with chemicals which may be toxic or corrosive in nature. They also may be working with microorganisms. Let us say you're talking about the pharmaceutical industry. Let us say you're talking about a laboratory in an engineering institution, say environmental engineering lab or engineering chemistry lab. Okay. Or let us say we talk about the laboratories which are connected to water and wastewater treatment. So, keeping this a brief introduction in mind, what could be the various reasons as an outcome of which accidents may happen? First and foremost, carelessness. If the employee, if the worker, if the lab technician is careless with his methods, it would definitely lead to accidents. Secondly, if the training which has been given to the technicians are improper, incomplete, inadequate, or wrong, that also can lead to an accident. Always remember, accidents is an outcome of unsafe environment, unsafe condition, unsafe act. So, if the technician performs the experiments in an unsafe manner, okay, or let us say he performs an experiment which is considered to be unsafe by itself. For instance, maybe he is doing some test with sulfuric acid, so it is nevertheless an unsafe experiment itself. So even if you take the utmost precautions and care, there is a probability that since you're dealing with extremely toxic chemicals, an accident may happen, a spill may happen. Okay. Nextly, whenever you're talking about laboratories, you're basically talking about equipments, you're talking about technology. In case if you do not have the latest know-how, in case you do not have the latest tool, latest technology, now this technology can be either to perform the test, or it could be a technology to handle the dangers, then also accident can happen. If the supervisor, or let us say the instructor, or let us say the faculty, does not give complete instructions, then also accidents may happen. Let me try to give an analogy. Friends, in case if you have undergone training on self defense, okay, let's say, probably during lockdown or before that, or when you were kids, maybe you have gone undergone training for karate or taekwondo. If the instructor does not give you proper instructions, this martial art, which is meant for self defense, can also be misused. The instructor should first tell you it's only meant for self defense, not to harm others. So, instruction matters. So, if the instructor is not giving you a proper instruction, okay, it can be misinterpreted, it can be miscommunicated, and can lead to a hazard. Now, irrespective of COVID or no COVID, irrespective of social distancing or no social distancing, in laboratories, when experiments are being carried out, there needs to be a safe distance which has to be maintained. So, much before social distancing was warranted in COVID 19, social distancing is the norms when it comes to these kind of operations. Now, sometimes, people are ignorant of the hazards, of the dangers. For instance, look at the image on the screen. Look at this lady. She's probably not aware that what she is trying to smell or inhale is probably very toxic. Okay, now ignorance can play a role, and of course this ignorance can be an outcome of all the preceding factors which have failed. Now, sometimes, having known the dangers, if you continue to indulge in an act, then it is considered as arrogance. Okay, on the overall, all the facilities must be in place. Only then accidents can be averted. What I'm referring to is basically with respect to personal protective gear or personal protective equipment, because you know very well that when none of the hierarchy of control works, the only thing that can protect you is the personal protective equipment itself. Now, please understand, if you drive a car or ride a bike without proper experience, you can indulge in an accident. Similarly, if you have not done your homework with respect to how to carry out the experiment, what reagents to prepare, how to prepare the reagents, accidents is inevitable. Finally, before we go on to the next topic, good housekeeping is extremely important to avoid hazards, to avoid incidents and accidents. Proper laboratory management. So, friends, now let us look at the next most important factor, which is hazards. There are various kind of hazards which can result in an incident or an accident. Now, the hazards can be biological nature, chemical in nature. It could be due to a fire. It could be radiological. It could be because of the working posture. And yes, electrical as well. Now, the image, what you see on the left hand side, okay, sorry, the right hand side, you are basically looking at chemicals. These you can see as I move my cursor, okay, you're looking at hydrochloric acid. You got a toxic substance called natrium hydroxide. Okay, just by looking at these symbols, the labels on the screen, okay, it's very evident that these are all toxic in nature, corrosive in nature, poisonous in nature. Now just imagine, these are the chemicals with which a technician is working on. Something very similar to hospital management, wherein a doctor or a nurse or a technician is working with microorganisms. Now just look at the way these chemicals have been stored. Okay, you are not supposed to store chemicals in this manner. This is a very bad housekeeping practice. A small hit, a small nudge, and one chemical can fall on the other chemicals. Already you can see that there are reactions taking place. So let us try to understand in detail what are these hazards. Now, friends, if you are not very careful when you perform the experiments, you might end up spilling the chemicals on the work floor. Now, if this chemical on the work floor, if it is not cleaned properly, if it is not immediately taken care of, it might emanate fumes, and these fumes when inhaled can be bad for health. Now let us say this chemical does not vaporize. If you do not clean this, what if somebody who comes without knowledge keeps his hand on that? Then there would be allergy or there would be some other chemical reactions. Inevitably, it is the health which is compromised. Now, apart from this, let's ignore the fact that this chemical may vaporize and cause health hazards, respiratory issues. Let's ignore the fact that somebody may come and keep his hand on the table without seeing this chemical and end up harming his skin. Apart from that, it's also possible, my dear friends, that there could be synergistic reaction. That is, if I have two chemicals A and B, these two chemicals A and B can react with each other and have disastrous outcomes. So that is also one more possibility when there's a spillage. So what is important is Perform the experiment with utmost care, and in the event of a spillage, immediately handle it. Remember, handling it as per the safety guidelines with respect to this chemical. Please understand one thing. We have various kinds of chemicals. Various kinds of chemicals comes with various kind of hazards. Similarly, each of these chemicals has a unique and different way that it has to be handled. For example, simply pouring water might help it or sometimes make it disastrous. Okay. Now, moving on to biological hazards, we need to understand that environmental engineering laboratory or a pharmaceutical industry or a lab in a water and wastewater treatment plant also deals with microorganisms. Microorganisms are omnipotent. Okay, you would have bacteria, viruses, protozoans, and rotifers. So we need to be extremely cautious. If not, then it is strongly possible that people can just like what happened with COVID, people can attract diseases. Now, what we need to understand is when you speak about the biological hazard, it could be airborne, it could be waterborne. Now, if in case you're dealing with chemical preparation, probably you use water for preparing the reagents. Okay, if not, if these reagents are airborne and if you do not have a proper respiratory PPE, then you're going to suffer from health hazards. Then let's come to little more detailed aspects with respect to chemicals. So as you can see on the screen, sometimes if you really observe very carefully, you can easily make out that the container 1, container 3, container 4, container 5, these are emanating fumes or gases. Some of them are emanating at a slower rate, some of them are emanating at a greater rate, some of them the fumes do not rise very high and they just come down. So friends, what we need to understand is all these chemicals which are being utilized, which are being prepared, if proper precaution is not taken during testing, during preparation, people can suffer from respiratory issues because of the fumes which are coming out. Now please understand, the danger is not simply from those chemicals wherein the fumes are visible to you. Look at this container on the second. This also would be emanating fumes, but it is colorless. We would not be even realizing that fumes are coming. And in case if these fumes do not have any odor, then that could be as worse as possible. So friends, one of the greatest hazards of chemicals is the toxicity of the fumes which are emanated. Then moving on, we also have what is called as electrical hazards. So you know very well that everything works on power. All the equipments, all the machineries, all the testing gears require power supply, uninterrupted power supply. And as previously discussed in other classes, probably a overload or a short circuiting or a lack of grounding can result in an electrical shock to the technicians. Now, since we're talking about laboratories, you're talking about needles, you're talking about syringes, you're talking about glasswares. If not properly handled, if not handled with utmost caution and care, you might end up breaking those. Okay, you might end up getting cut. And then moving on, fire is also definitely one more hazard which can occur in any of the laboratories. And we have already understood in the previous sessions about the various types of fires. So friends, we need to understand that since we are talking about a chemical laboratory, then the fire which would be emanating here, okay, would be class D fire, which is one of the most dangerous fires, and you need specialized precautions and fire extinguisher to extinguish these fires, which could also be due to the combustion of metals. Now, when you speak about chemicals, not just that these fumes might cause some respiratory issues for you, but even by touching them, by handling them, okay, you might have skin issues. Now imagine that you have touched the chemical with your hand. It is probable that you have some kind of allergic reaction, the skin color changes and you're aware of it, but sometimes you're not even aware that these kind of things can happen. So if some chemical that you come in contact with does not show any visible reactions, okay, and imagine you try to rub your eyes, then just imagine the extent of damage which can happen. Now, when you are working in a laboratory, basically there is certain standard postures which needs to be stressed upon. Sometimes you have to stand straight, sometimes you have to look straight, sometimes you need to bend, sometimes you need to focus a lot, sometimes you need to be holding some kind of glasswares in a particular posture. All these over a period of time, if there is no break or resting period, can be an ergonomic hazard also. Now, having understood the causative factors and having understood the various hazards in a workplace connected to a laboratory, let's try to understand the control measures. We are very much aware that whenever you speak about control measures, you must always have corrective measures and preventive measures. Now, friends, what you're seeing here is a fume hood. Okay. Now, if you are working in a laboratory wherein you deal with chemicals which can vaporize, for instance, let us say you're talking about ammonia, it immediately vaporizes. And if you inhale ammonia, it's not good for your body system. So whenever you're working with chemicals which have a very strong vaporization rate, then you need to work in these equipments. You need to keep those chemicals the way this lady is doing. It should not be in an open environment. Okay, there should be safety taken. So yes, modern equipments are one best way if you want to avoid accidents, because these modern equipments have been designed keeping safety in mind. Then it is very unfortunate that you know whenever we talk about laboratories, though there are modern equipments, though there are developments and advancements, people still use the outdated obsolete techniques. For example, let's talk about pipette. Okay, I'm obviously 100% sure that if you have used a pipette in your chemistry lab or engineering chemistry lab, probably it would have been manual, wherein you would have used the old way of sucking the chemical using the pipette. But all those techniques have been outdated. There is a great danger when you suck any chemical using a pipette, because you might end up sucking it into your mouth, which can be hazardous. So there are new developments which have come, developments wherein there is reduced hazard or danger to the human system. So this is a new technique, new technology, new methodology wherein you can suck the chemicals using a pipette without having the need for sucking it with your mouth. Okay. Now, not only that, for every test you perform, every machine you use, every glassware you use, there is a standard operating procedure that is extremely important if you want to avoid any accident from taking place. Now, moving on, the safety of storeroom. Friends, what we need to understand is when you speak about a laboratory, okay, it would also contain a isolated section called a storeroom where all the chemicals are stored. This is very important. First and foremost, you must have a storeroom. All chemicals are not supposed to be kept openly or in shelves in the laboratory space itself. It has to be isolated and kept separately. We also need to understand that some of these chemicals are reactive when exposed to sunlight, when kept open. So some of these chemicals that you're keeping in a storeroom may have to be kept in a dark, cool place. Some of them may have to be kept in a type of glassware which does not permit solar radiation to enter. And most importantly, the storeroom must be locked, it must be secured, and any glassware, any chemical that you're keeping must be properly labeled. A very good housekeeping and record maintenance goes a long way in preventing accidents. Let me try to give an analogy. I'm sure some of us take medicines, some of us take tablets when we fall ill. Whenever we are taking a tablet, the first thing we need to understand is we need to check whether the tablet is expired or not. If the tablet is expired, then probably you're doing more harm by taking the tablet. Friends, the same logic applies to chemicals. Every chemical has a shell life, every chemical has a lifeline. Okay, and you cannot store the chemical beyond that shell life. So inventorization is important, record maintenance is important with respect to when the chemical was purchased. Okay, please understand that every chemical which comes with guidelines. Now, for instance, all the chemicals that you're seeing here is as has been supplied by the manufacturer. In this container itself there will be instructions, expiry date, okay, the dangers related to it, and how to handle if an accident takes place. So all this have to be documented as well, because in the event an accident takes place, the supervisor or the technician should know exactly what precautionary measures have to be taken. When you know that there are certain hazards and dangers associated with a chemical, you would be the right person to devise the corrective measures and, of course, focus more on preventive measures. Now, in other words, there should be a holistic training which has to be given to all the technicians, all the employees who are working in a chemical laboratory. Please understand, swimming cannot be taught with online classes or by reading a book. You need to get into the water. In a similar manner, the training which has to be given to any technician who deals with microorganisms or chemicals must be hands-on training. And this hands-on training should be a 360-degree approach, right from how to store the chemical, how to take out the chemical, how to prepare the reagent, how to wash the containers, how to dispose the chemicals. It should be a 360-degree approach wherein a technician has sound knowledge with respect to all the facets. It could be either the operation, it could be the sanitation, it could be the hygiene, it could be preparation, it could be disposal, and it could also be in the event of any accident. Now, though we have preventive measures, though we take all the precautions to avoid any incident, accident, or near miss from taking, please do understand that accidents can still happen. So a chemical laboratory can be a minefield, because you have thousands of various type of chemicals in one single place. And imagine the consequence of a disaster if a fire breaks out, okay, or if there is some earthquake, or if there is a wrong act of keeping two chemicals together. For instance, keeping an alkali and an acid next to each other, it's like, keeping a hot object next to a cold object. So one essential important attribute that should be considered in OSHA when it comes to your chemicals in laboratory is, we should have in the safety manual a process for emergency evacuation. That would be the final step when it comes to OSHA in your accident prevention. Now, having said all this, please understand, when nothing works, the only thing that can protect you from a danger is your personal protective gear. So all the personal protective equipments should be in place, should be relevant, and all the information which has been shared to you in the previous sessions with respect to type of PPE comes in application here. So friends, I've come to the end of this presentation. I would like to show you 3 videos. I will try to, present the thoughts by speaking, if in case you're not able to hear the video itself. Each of these videos are about 3 minutes, and then we shall list the references. Please do realize that these 3 videos would enact to be the summary for today's presentation. As you can see on the screen, when you are handling chemicals, you have to be extremely cautious. So if I'm looking at the screen, I can identify the positives and negatives. Positives, for instance, the lab looks pretty clean, okay? All the glasswares and chemicals are pretty much labeled. Now, I might also look at some negatives. For instance, is this gentleman having all the PPE as required? Probably or probably not. The second negative would be, is there a need to keep so many items on this lab table? So, friends, with every scene, every screen, you will be able to identify dangers. Now, how you handle a chemical. So you can see this is one more way in which one of the most toxic chemicals is being moved, but not by holding it with the hand, even though you have a glove. So every chemical, okay, will come with its own set of rules. Now, acids, very important that whenever you're using acids, you need to handle with the greatest care, especially if you're talking about sulfuric acid, which is considered as king of chemicals, or nitric acid. Okay, now of course you might have weak acids, but then we need to understand that acids can be dangerous also when you're dealing with water. I would request you to go back and search whether, can I pour acid to water or can I pour water to acid? Friends, everything matters. When you pour a chemical into a glassware, into a container, what type of container are you referring to? That is also very important, especially when you're talking about acids. You cannot use plastic containers, you need to use glasswares itself. What kind of PPE are you using? Okay, when it comes to protection of your eyes, if fumes are emanating, would this suffice? All you need to now apply the knowledge of whatever we have understood. Sometimes we need to realize that just having a glass may not help, and you may have to go for a face mask as this lady is using it. This is extremely important. Every chemical comes with warnings, with labels, and we need to understand them very well. Please understand that there is a uniform, okay, there is a apron that you need to wear, and it is designed in such a way that it can protect most of your body parts in the event of any spills. We need to also realize that, you need to wear gloves, you need to wear shoes, because you do not realize how the accidents can happen. Please understand, the accident may not happen because of you, it can also happen because of anyone else. Now look at this, just realize, had this gentleman not realized the outcome of this reaction, then what would have happened to his hands? You see that? Now that's an accident, and it could be outcome of various reasons. After you use a reagent, you must secure it. Now this is what I said, accident may not happen because of you, it can happen because of somebody else. Now, what if this lady was not wearing shoes? What if this lady was wearing sandals? Then imagine the amount of splash which would have burnt her skin. So please realize, one person's safety would ensure the safety of every other individual. Now imagine if this chemical is releasing toxic gases, or imagine if this chemical reacts with some other chemical which is kept open and can become synergistic or catch fire. So when you're dealing with microorganisms or chemicals, you need to use the modern equipments so that there is no breakthrough of the chemicals or microbes into the working environment. Let's look at the second video. The relevance of this screen is for you to understand that when you or any technician works with any particular chemical, the technician is expected to have complete knowledge with respect to what the chemical is capable of doing in the event of a spill. Does it vaporize? Does it react? Is it highly reactive? Okay, are there any other potential threats? Is there any chemical that should not be brought in contact with this? Let us say you are adding a chemical X to this chemical. How should we do it? Is it drop wise? Okay, can we add water to this, or do we add water to it? Okay, what you add first, A added to B or B added to A, both of them makes a difference. So a sound knowledge also matters. So these are some of the aspects that everyone should know. First, you should identify what chemicals you're dealing with, and then obviously what are the hazards associated with this. Then you should realize how should we go about taking care of the disaster in case if an accident takes place with respect to first aids. Are there any chances of fire hazards, and what should we do if there is an accident? What could we do with respect to emergency? Finally, we should also understand that it is PPE which is most important, which can protect us when nothing else works. And please realize one thing, my dear friends, though you take the greatest precautions, there are certain aspects which might cause an accident without your knowledge. Okay, it could be, let us say, a chemical, a climate change, let us say earthquake. Okay, accident which has taken place in the neighboring lab. So there are so many things which are not in our control. When it comes to chemical handling, it is not just handling chemicals in laboratories, it's also the transportation, how it is transported to the lab. Okay, and once everything is done, how do you dispose it? You just can't blindly throw into a sink, wash basin, or onto the land. Everything has to be thought of when you talk about chemicals handling. Let's look at the last video before we call it for a day. A few more moments. The outcome of this video should just give you understanding that most of the people spend a lot of time in the labs. Okay, as you can see on the screen, just like somebody works in an industry, somebody works in a factory, somebody works in a college or a school, these are people, for them this is the normal livelihood. Okay, which means they need to be extremely cautious and careful with whatever they do every minute and every second. Training is extremely important with respect to how to take care of the gadgets, the chemicals that have been handed over to you. Good housekeeping, after the experiment is conducted, you need to remove that. Just see now what happened. The danger which this girl would have faced. This boy is wearing shoes, but this girl is not wearing it. Accident was caused by this boy, but this girl who is not wearing proper PPE has to suffer. These are things which should not be encouraged in a laboratory. Having food, okay, this is a workplace, this should not be mixed with leisure or as a resting place, because you do not know, apart from eating the food, what all chemicals you would be inhaling in that place. Lack of attention can also result in accidents. You need to be focused, and remember, it's not that you're endangering your life, you could be endangering anybody's life. A working table is not meant for keeping personal items, but only for the experimental stuff. You're not supposed to have food or keep the food near where experiments are being conducted. There is a proper way of cleanup depending on the scenario. So, friends, I sincerely believe that today's presentation has given you a brief insight or input into what are the potential dangers when it comes to handling chemicals in a laboratory, and also how you should go about being cautious in terms of corrective and preventive measures. These are the references which I would request you to go through and pursue further. And in the next class, we shall try to understand, as a continuation of today's presentation, what are the safety concerns, especially when it comes to the occupation in the context of water and wastewater treatment plants. So I thank you for your kind patience.